Did last night alleviate any of your concerns about the Lake Show?
Hell no. Hell no, not even a little bit. The reality of the situation is that the Denver Nuggets didn't play any of their starters the entire fourth quarter, and you needed a three from Kyle Kuzma with 4 seconds left or so to pull off the victory. I'm not pleased by that at all. The reality of the situation is that the Lakers' defense has been horrid as far as I'm concerned. You gave up 58% shooting from the field, 56% shooting from three-point range, and you went against reserves with Anthony Davis, with LeBron James, and Kyle Kuzma, your top 3 players on the floor, and that's what you needed. Clearly, they're not in sync. They've lost their feel. This team was on a roll prior to the break due to the pandemic. They were flowing defensively, definitely offensively. We saw LeBron James really turning it on. We know what Anthony Davis brings to the table, and the reality is that Avery Bradley and Rajon Rondo were in that lineup as well. I think that as this bubble, as it progresses, and we see what the Lakers are without Avery Bradley and without Rajon Rondo, it puts immense pressure on Frank Vogel to find somebody that he can rely upon off that bench to deliver. Kuzma's one of them. Dion Waiters is one thing, and Danny Green has been struggling, even though he hit 3 3-pointers last night. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, he's been up and down as well. You don't seem to have anybody you can definitively trust outside of your big two. And that is a concern, because I got news for you. LeBron James and Anthony Davis, as phenomenal as they are, and as phenomenal as I believe they are going to be come postseason time, it's not going to be enough to beat everybody in the West. It won't beat the Clippers, I can assure you of that. It may not be able to beat the Nuggets, because with Jamal Murray handling more point guard duties, having the ball in his hands and being able to shoot the way that he can shoot, with the Joker being who he is, with Michael Porter coming on the way that he has come on and really emerging to validate, the claim that he was receiving coming out of school. I'm just looking at them with some veterans like Paul Millsap and others to help out the situation, and it's just going to take a lot more than the Lakers' big two. So I'm not happy about this. I do think that there's still reason for concern. I haven't given up hope that they can come together, but they have not excited me at all in this bubble. They lost 3 straight coming into last night's game. They have not excited me at all. I have not been impressed with what I've seen from them, and they're going to have to get it together if they're going to do anything come postseason time.
Well, you're right about Michael Porter Jr. I mean, that was always the guy. If his back is healthy and he can start to really develop to reach his potential, look out. And that looks like it's happening. So maybe there's another real player, even if we weren't in a bubble and weird things might happen. But Stephen A., of course the Lakers should be concerned. I'm a Lakers fan, and I'm concerned. And look, I picked the Clippers from the preseason. I said if Kawhi stays in Toronto, they'd win the championship. That would have happened. And if he goes to the Clippers, they win the championship. And I believe that's going to happen. But I have to admit, as someone who made that prediction, I was a little bit nervous about the prediction. When the Lakers beat the Bucks and the Clippers consecutively right before the pandemic shut down the NBA. As a Lakers fan, I was encouraged because LeBron James, remember from the beginning of the season when Kawhi got him, and you were very critical of LeBron accepting challenges and stuff like that, but the one thing I'll give him is he was trying to figure out how to lead this group of guys, season opener, that's right, to lead this group of guys to the promised land. And what it looked like right before the pandemic shut down the season is he had figured this team out and he brought them with him, and the guys had figured it out. And I always thought, I heard others say that the pandemic and the shutdown would help the Lakers or help LeBron in some way. I always thought it would hurt him because he's the kind of point guard, which he is now, who's really a point guard, who figures out the chemistry of the team. And an interruption, especially a long interruption, resets that somewhat. They have to figure it all out again, as opposed to a half-court team, or more of a half-court team like the Clippers, where they're a little less reliant on that. Like, who's really their playmaker? Kawhi? His passing is better, but it's not like a LeBron James-style point guard, at least this year, point guard. But in terms of whether or not you should be encouraged by yesterday, Lakers fans, and I am one, should be encouraged. Because from the beginning, LeBron and AD needed a third wheel. And early on, Kyle Kuzma was being pumped up as one of the big three, which is ridiculous because he's never even been quite an average NBA player. Maybe he's hovered around there. He's never been above average for any real extended period of time. He was a scorer on a bad team, and he has certain skills that you like, but they're a little too inconsistent. But Stephen A., if Kyle Kuzma can do that, if he can hit open shots under pressure, then the Lakers have a real chance. They need a guy like that. Look, J.R. Smith, Dion Waiters, it's fine, right? But there's a reason that they're available at this point in their careers, where once upon a time maybe they wouldn't have been, because they've declined because they're old. Kyle Kuzma is ascending. He's young. He's talented. He has skills. And if he can do that, if he can be that guy, the Lakers got a shot.
Well, a couple of things. Number one, I think he's gotten better since he changed his hairdo because it was blinding himself, not just his opponents, but that damn hairdo that he was wearing for the vast majority of the season. So it's good that he changed that up. That's number one. Number two, I will say this. You know, we have to understand and respect the fact that everybody has a right to have their opinion, particularly since the bubble has resumed. Because let me tell you something right now. If this pandemic had not taken place and the season was on course to go straight through the way that it did, I picked the Lakers at the beginning of the season, and I would not be wavering one single bit because obviously Avery Bradley would still be there. Rondo would still be there. Their rhythm would be in place. They would have figured things out right on schedule the way that they were looking prior to the season's cancellation March 11th. And so when I look at it from that perspective, that's an entirely different scenario than what we're witnessing right now. In certain situations, clearly, obviously, people were not playing together, so the level of chemistry and cohesiveness that you're looking to acquire or to reacquire was more difficult for some than others. We knew that LeBron was going to be in shape. We knew that him and Anthony Davis were going to bring their games because they're surreal. They're top 5 players on the planet. We got all of that, but we had questions about everybody else. And sure enough, what has happened? The Lakers have given us reason to question everybody else. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.